So, little BTS action here. I just did a whole take without a memory card. We'll get through this together. That's what this show's all about. What's good? Welcome to the basement. I'm your host, Rob G, filmmaker, living in his parents' basement, documenting the struggle so that you can avoid my mistakes or get yourself out of a similar situation. So, today we're gonna be talking about what's left in that camera bag that you haven't touched since DV was big. You probably spent more on these tapes than you did on your entire camera by the time you were done shooting on these stupid things. Maybe you just didn't buy a camera because you thought, oh man, the depreciation is insane on these things. They jump from DV to HDV, then into solid state. Why would I want to buy something that's gonna be a paperweight in a couple years? What is still in that DV kit that you can use? Because I'll tell you what, you can't use these anymore. Found a couple things in there that are still reusable, and I want to share those with you today. And yes, one of them is cleaning kits, so don't bust my balls, it's super easy. The rest of them, maybe you haven't thought about. Maybe you did, maybe this video sucks, and maybe you won't watch anymore in the future. I'm gonna make them anyway. YouTube rewards consistency, not quality, so fuck it. I think probably one of the more exciting things that I got into when I was filming on DV, because I was young and I was hungry and God knows there were tons of these guys around, was I got into filming skateboarding videos. And for skateboarding videos at the time, everybody needed a fisheye lens, and it can be fitted onto the end of your lenses that you use nowadays. You want to look like you're looking through a peephole. This is the lens for that. That's probably the least practical use for this lens. What you want to use this for is probably adding a couple extra millimeters onto one of your zoom lenses. Now, a lot of people will probably say that's sacrilege. Oh, why don't you just go out and get a wider angle lens? Yeah. As a professional shooter, you need to have a wide angle lens. But if you're just coming back into this from the DV era, then you might have to make do with some things. And this will give you kind of an artistic look. And this is just super cheap. I mean, it says professional digital. Look, the one thing I've learned in this business, if they have to tell you they're professional, they're probably not. But it's not just the fisheye lens that you can reuse. I mean, any lens that you had. I've got an old macro that I use all the time. I don't really want to go out and buy a lens specifically dedicated to macro use because I don't shoot macro footage every day. But some days I want to get a picture of an emblem. And you know what? The macro lens from the DV kit works like a charm. Next on the list of things that you can cannibalize out of your old DV kit, and probably not nearly as sexy as lenses, are the bags that everything came in. Back in the days of camcorders, you know, you used to have bigger cameras, so there's these big spaces that you don't need for these cameras that you have nowadays that take up these little teeny tiny spaces. This is the camera bag we used to carry our GL2 and our VX, I think it was a VX100. This bag has all of my audio gear in it now, mics, screwdrivers, tools, things like clamps. The other thing that I've repurposed and cannibalized is this case that I used to carry these Smith Victor lights in. These Smith Victor lights were cheeseball. And I mean, if you just Google these things, incandescent bulbs, and if you put a gel in front of these things, even with like the barn doors and the spacers, like they'd melt these things in no time at all. But if by some miracle you didn't burn through all those gels using those giant ass tungsten bulbs, these gels from back in the day are more valuable to you now. The only thing that'll be left at the end of the world will be cockroaches and your gels. So I gave you that nice long spiel about how those tungsten lights that I had were worthless, and then you're sitting there looking at the tungsten lights that are in the corner of your room going, oh, that makes my feelings hurt. Well, they're not exactly worthless. Yeah, there are some problems with them. But if that's all you've got, that's the reason why they made white balance. If you still have the tungsten bulbs, go use them. The only real drawback to that I can see right off top is that people don't like to be hot. Everybody's trying to look beautiful on camera, and like all this makeup that the makeup artist you're paying $500 for 2 hours of freaking work for is just dripping off this model's face. But that doesn't mean you can't shoot something good for your reel and incorporate that tungsten light kit in creating it. So I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, Rob, that's so much stuff that I can still use. There can't be any more. But there is. This is so obvious, and I think everybody probably knows this, but you can still use your tripods. And it could be 3 decades old, I don't care. As long as the legs still come out to full extension, and as long as the head drags without jittering too much. I mean, really, what do you want me to do? Explain to you how a tripod works? You know what doesn't appreciate the moment you buy it? Audio. Your audio stuff from your DV kit is still good. If you had anything that connected Mini 8 to XLR, boom mics, your lav mics, you know, your Beach Tech box. Beach Tech boxes were huge back in the day. Definitely you're gonna wanna do your quality checks on your audio stuff before you put it into any production where you're getting paid. I'm still working with the Sennheiser EW100s. And these mics are probably at least 10 years old now. And the first revision, I think they're up to the EW4. It's still good, it's still crisp. I told you I was gonna pull a sucker move. One sucker move, cleaning kits. Microfiber rags, definitely use them to clean your lenses. Don't use your wife beater like I used to use. When you take off the lens and you're changing it in and out, a lot of dust and debris gets inside the sensor. It gets in on the back of the lens. What you want to do is you just want to just squeeze that in there vigorously. If you did have one of these in your DV kit, good for you. I did not. This is what I had in my DV kit. Do you hear that? That sounds like a 120-year-old man gasping out his final will and testament. And you can already hear. I don't even have to put it next, but I will. You like that? Spray it on your face. If it feels like AC from an airplane, you're good. If it feels like a dying old man, probably not. The one thing that you've got, which will never be obsoleted, is your skill set. Which is not true, because robots are coming to take your job. They got Princess Leia on digital. How long do you think it's going to be before they've got Roger Deakins in a computer program? If you know about narrative structure, if you know about good storytelling, if you know about how to ask good questions in an interview, things like that, they don't ever get obsoleted. The moral of the story is, you shouldn't let anything stand between you and getting back to creating, including an outdated system. A lot of that stuff can be put back into use, and a lot of that stuff can be sold or traded or just, you know, put it on your shelf so it looks good in the back of your YouTube video. If this video gave you any hope of getting back into the industry at all, go ahead, click the like button. And I want to say something catchy, something like Civ Fly said, you know, get money, get out of the basement.